ready.
Sorry. Who's gonna have? All right, ready?
Yeah.
Okay, we're live again. We did not have any discussion during a period. We had a little shutdown on the Facebook. We should be back online now, so we'll go ahead and get started. The only thing we updated was the Fort Frederick boat landing, and we'll go on to the next item.
Right, the next item is Sands Beach. Just want to bring up the fact that we had installed the rope and bollard system. And for the most part, it has been well received. We did have some concerns about the way it looked. But obviously, I think those things tend to soften as time moves forward. We are still waiting on the permit to do the grading work for the entry road. So once we receive that, we've got somebody teed up to take that on. So still waiting on it. Moving on to...
Hold on, there's been a ton of, for my opinion, positive comment from the public about what we've done at the Sands. I was down there Saturday and Sunday, tried to get down as much as I can, but there's been a ton of positive comments. It's received very well.
Same
So
here.
thank you.
Same here. I spent a couple hours out there, and it was the same.
You just did the sound on that one, Sean. That's what it
Yeah,
was.
I've had a lot of feedback too. It's been great.
Yeah.
Good, very good. That's good to hear. Thank both of you for letting us. I visited a lot over the weekend, but I didn't talk to anybody specifically. But,
Just walked in it. There's a golf court down there.
I was just gonna, for clarification, they can still take golf carts past that part, past this,
Yeah.
the sign that says no vehicles past this point.
and maybe we want to do something with that sign in the future. I think Greg was talking about revisiting the plan now that we did this piece and kind of saying, what's the next best thing to do? What do we do next? Revisit the sign issues, but that's good. Really glad to hear that. Appreciate that. Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, next item, Spanish Moss Trail. I did get an update from Dean Moss. The county has awarded the engineering contract to kind of put in motion the crossing of Rebo Road where it currently exists and dead ends at adjacent to Martin Landscaping and Smilex Avenue. So after the beginning of the new fiscal year, they'll start that work as well. And then a second piece of that, there's a potential Department of Defense grant that has been posted that addresses quality of life issues for properties adjacent or near installations. And we think that there's an opportunity to create expeditions in a way through the Spanish Moss Trail that might direct folks from the Naval Heritage Park, get them down, or from the existing Spanish Moss Trail down to the Heritage Park and back and forth. That we could also kind of mesh with the expansion of the sidewalk adjacent to the Naval Hospital fence and through what would be the eventual abandoned right-of-way for Old Shell Road. If you recall, in the tool plan, there is a design to cul-de-sac that what was Old Shell Road and formalized parking, but it did include a number of additional paths. So we think there's some opportunity there. So I'm going to try to pull that together in the coming weeks to be the deadline for that. Any questions on that?
I think it's great that we're going after a grant, and Friends of the Spanish Moss Trail has done a great job getting that funding and moving it along pretty quickly.
All right, next item is just kind of staffing issues and building issues related to COVID. You know, we've been working some alternate schedule for some folks in the office, some folks out, kind of create space. But we're looking at next Monday to kind of all be back in the office, obviously following social distancing measures and making sure that we're doing what's appropriate. We're still not reintroducing the public to the building just yet. We'll probably fall in line with what the others are doing. We do have plans for court to be back in this building back in July. Right now, we are using the shed. Obviously, we're closing on the sale of the shed, so that will not be available to us. This room will be set up with about half of its occupancy, chairs set up appropriately to make sure that we're in compliance with those issues. Just something that's going on as well, the next Tuesday's primary is being held in this building also. Staff will not be here that day because of the amount of traffic in and out of this building. Then I have scheduled the next morning a complete cleaning and decontamination of the building. And so staff will be back in the building at noon Wednesday following the primary.
One comment I make on that, if you allow me, I would encourage people to vote early, to absentee vote. I did that myself Monday. It was quick, it was easy, it took me 5 minutes. So if we can, encourage people to do that, that'll help also.
You just did. Anybody else comments on how they're treating the building? I think it's important we
I
really
think it's
talk
great.
about that. And then, so what's the thoughts beyond that point?
Right now, we probably want to shadow what the other entities are going to be doing in terms of reintroducing the public. As we mentioned prior to the meeting, there's been some discussion of how well the courts have kind of worked together and kind of fed off each other and taken ideas from each other. That's why we end up utilizing the shed and have it set up the way we do. But as I mentioned, we're going to have to be back in here. And so that is going to be a reintroduction of the public to the building. Right now, we have not reduced any functionality of the office, how we're currently working. You can come knock on the door, you can get your business license renewed, you can pay your fines, you can do everything that we've always done. It's just that you have to sit on a bench outside rather than coming into the building. I think if we do reintroduce the public to this building, masks will be required to enter, and that's going to be the same for the court system as well. So, I know that there's some issue of mask wearing, but it's about protecting others. The reason I wear a mask is my wife has an autoimmune issue, and so I think it's important for me to do that, and that's why I'm doing it. So those are all things that need to be kept in mind.
Kevin, go ahead.
When we open back up to public in that phase, can we limit people, or is it if we open to the public, we open to the public? Or can you put a limit on the public?
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
We will, like the court system, we will do that. And to be quite honest with you, we do not see the volume of people, on a regular basis that would overwhelm that number, if you will. However, council meetings could be a different story, depending upon the topic of the council meeting, as to how crowded the room would be. There will be limitations on the number of folks that will be allowed in the room. We will probably, even with the reintroduction of the public to council meetings, we'll probably still use Facebook Live and potentially Zoom where necessary. Although I think it's our plan all along to reintroduce other media or other ways for the public to become aware of our council meetings. So I think this is kind of a forced expansion of how we interface with the public. So even after we bring them in the room, we think it's probably appropriate to continue doing what we do.
So when will first, go ahead, Kevin,
I was just saying, I think it'd be great once we open back up to just keep Facebook Live.
when will first court be? So July 1st.
That's when they're opening up.
So we could to see how that works with the new layout of the room, and we could, July 2nd. So we could see how that works with the layout of the room. And at our July council workshop, we could decide whether or not we want to open for the council meeting the following week after that for
Yeah,
for the
well,
public.
your regularly scheduled workshop would be on July 1, and your regular council meeting would be July 8.
So court's going to be after the council workshop. So we have
Feedback.
no idea what that is.
That's-
I don't even have mine on, so.
Somebody on Zoom. So we'll have to think about that and just trust staff to tell us whether or not it makes sense to bring people in for the council meeting after you see how court works. We could tell people that we'd be open to a limited number of residents or interested parties to join us at the meeting. Okay, sorry to take a lot, but it's important to figure out how we're going to get turned back to some sort of normality. Darryl, you thoughts on that?
I'm watching everyone else also, and I think, as we said, it's just going to have to be a slow
Process.
attrition back into under the CDC recommendations and so forth.
Okay. All right, Van, sorry to slow us down there.
That's right. Next item is just Banner Cove, nothing new to report. That's a subject that obviously y'all were real involved with for quite some time, but I have nothing new to report on Banner Cove since y'all last met.
When were they gonna start cleaning that area up?
I have not been out to the property to see if they have taken down any of the structures yet. I was told that a dumpster will be located on the property and that they would be addressing it.
Okay.
Tool traffic study, which I just kind of brought up with you guys, but we still need to have them scheduled for the public presentation to get some additional feedback from council and the public. So I think as we move forward with our July kind of timeline, it could be July or August, that we maybe get them back in here to make a presentation on the study. CDBG, as I mentioned in the briefing, our match for this project is $413,000. That's pretty significant. We did reach out to Buford Jasper to see if there's the potential for some partnering. They are taking it under advisement and looking into that. So as those discussions progress, and if we can set up meetings, we will do so. But right now, 413 would be a tough goal. We'd have to figure that one.
Is that payments? Is that one
Yeah,
payment?
I think the project is probably close to about $1 million, and because of the scope of the project, as well as everything that's involved, and kind of the costs associated with each house, and those amounts kind of exceeding what is typical, our match is that 400,000 plus, as dictated by the Department of Commerce. So if we have the ability to, because the reality is we do not own the system. It is owned by Buford Jasper Water and Sewer Authority. So ultimately, we are adding customers to their customer base. And so it only seemed to make sense to see if they might be willing to participate.
They can't go for this grant. That grant has to come from us to do that. So I think it's appropriate to ask them to help us to see if we can find a match there. They will gain the revenue.
Yep, and permanent customers. Yeah.
And permanent customers from this.
They'll trickle the money back. When's the deadline on that grant submit?
Well, it's still got to go through to see if it even gets approved. So what they are looking for from us was a commitment to provide the $400,000+ as our match, and to cover any potential construction overages.
Yeah, I saw that.
And when do they need the commitment by?
I'd have to double check that. It may be in the resolution, but it might be a question I just need to ask of.
Okay.
I think it's real soon.
Yeah.
That's what the other night.
Might want to make sure the Water Authority knows there's a time sensitive.
Redevelopment Commission, I just, mentioned in the briefing that, Sean continues to, with the videos are been up and running. I think that's been a real nice addition to the Facebook page and been pretty helpful to some of the owners.
Videos have been really good. Very good.
Porter's Chapel building is pretty much nearing completion. I did meet on site with Scott Jodorowsky, who's the superintendent of the reconstruction park. Here locally, he is very excited about it. That he sees some opportunities for I think we're looking, they want it adopted in June. I'm not sure about the actual, the town board will commit to sharing costs on things budgeted on June 15th. So we'll have to get together with Buford Jasper pretty quickly.
Okay.
Porter's Chapel, as I mentioned, I did meet with Scott on site, very excited about the building and the potential opportunities. Because of the lack of access issues to the Naval Heritage, the Naval Hospital sites currently, this is a great opportunity. This is a great opportunity for us to partner with the National Park Service. They will more than likely be able to provide some staffing for that building. It's good for us, helps us offset some of this cost. And we still are working on the partnership with the University of South Carolina Beaufort on a kind of applied history class, helping with the displays there. And I think the National Park Service is also going to be pretty instrumental in signage along our roadways, not only getting you to the site, but also to what would basically serve as kind of a meeting place for them. We're also going to be enhancing the adjacent gazebo, which will serve as an outdoor classroom for the groups that do visit Porter's Chapel and then eventually take tours of the Naval Hospital sites. So, shrimp dock, we've been moving a significant amount of shrimp through the dock. We have actually picked up a couple of additional boats.
Wow.
Surprisingly, I don't have the raw numbers in front of me, but in probably the last week and a half to 2 weeks, there's probably been about $60,000 or $70,000 worth of shrimp that's moved across the dock. So that's pretty exciting. Like I said, a couple of boats that were docking in other parts of the state are now coming to us. So we are set, as I mentioned, we're setting it up as a separate enterprise fund to come here, so we'll be able to better track what we're seeing there. As far as funds that have been allocated for renovation of the dock, in the extra dollars that the state had anticipated, I'm not sure that still exists.
I got one comment on that.
Yeah.
I spoke with Shannon Erickson today, and that was the question that I asked her. Was that money available? I said, now don't laugh at me, Shannon. She said, no, that's a very valid question. And she didn't say no, and she didn't say yes. She said they'd know more in September. And she encouraged me, as well as everyone, to continue to stay in touch, maybe stay in touch with Tom as well, and making sure that it's on everybody's radar. And I was encouraged by that. I was not discouraged. I was very encouraged in the talk with her.
Yeah, I think they're still doing budgets when I talked to them
Correct,
today. So
correct.
they're still in the process of the budgets and so.
So we'll see. It's kind of a wait and see. It might come to fruition, it might not, but we'll see.
Right, because they're operating under an emergency order right now as far as the budgets go.
Right.
They have
Well,
not
that's kind of a
finalized the
continuing
budget.
resolution.
So we'll see.
They're doing it.
Cypress wetlands. Work is scheduled after nesting season, so we'll hopefully get that kicked off pretty soon. We have switched companies that provide maintenance and kind of ongoing eradication of invasive species. It's a company called Solitude. They're handling this one, the duck blinds, as well as Madrid Pond. So we're all taking those kind of under one contract at this point. I didn't have noticed a little bit of the reddening, but obviously with the work that's just right around the corner, we'll be addressing a lot of that. It is pretty thick, but it'll be addressed with the work that's going to be done by Wood Brothers for the larger project. Road work, I think the CTC is changing up their policy a little bit as to how they are going to be divvying up funds. You know, we did hire an engineering firm to create a report that did comply with the reporting standards of the CTC moving forward with potential resurfacing of roads throughout the county, whether they be county-owned or municipally owned. It is our understanding they may be revisiting that policy. I think that's what the chairman has decided. Whereas the priority for those dollars would be county-owned roads. Needless to say, that is a concern of ours. Jerry?
Do we still have representation from Port Royal on that board?
I think he has officially resigned
From District 4.
from District 4. So,
Okay.
there will be applications taken for that position. It is a district that obviously represents more than just Port Royal.
Sure.
Portions of Shell Point as well as the city of Beaufort. We do not know yet who will be sitting in that chair for our district.
How's it being advertised?
It's not ours to advertise, it's the County Transportation Committee.
Mm-hmm.
And so whatever policies are in place for the county for those board seats, they'll handle it.
Will that be something that maybe we could make a recommendation to Alice Howard?
I'm certain that she would be open to suggestions.
So it's
Okay.
probably vetted.
I think that's a firm, they're committed to that. They're not funding any municipality roads. That's only county roads. For the foreseeable future, they give any timeline on that, or?
I'm not sure.
Because I remember we put together that list of roads of that were always, we gave them different colors and everything, and now they're saying they're not touching anything.
From the City of Beaufort Council and Mayor, and I have spoken a little bit, one council member, not the whole council, one council member and the mayor. I've spoken a little bit with them about their concerns about this, and he was reaching out to Bluffton mayor. He decided he would do that and see if we want to get together as a group and reapproach the CTC about this. So they haven't had a meeting. My plans are at their next meeting, I'm going to attend the meeting as well. So I just don't know.
I just didn't know if it was a firm no, or still up for discussion, or just stop asking about it.
Just don't know. But I guess the new 2 cents also goes into effect today, doesn't it? June 1, and the gas tax went up?
Yeah.
2 more cents?
Yeah.
I think it went up, so we'll have to figure that out.
But I can't remember what the number was, the gas tax revenue that the state's not collecting right now due to.
Yeah, it's enormous.
It's crazy.
And
Well, is
then-
there an opportunity for us to meet with, have a joint meeting with the city of Beaufort? We haven't had one in a while. And maybe talk about this together?
It would have to be a Zoom meeting probably at this point, unless we want to schedule it a little bit later to see if everybody is willing to get into kind of the same room.
Why don't you get with the city manager and
Yeah.
entertain that?
Yeah, when was the last one? December?
If I happen to talk to Billy, I'll approach that.
December,
subject as well.
Alice is coming.
I just responded.
And it's something we've discovered throughout this process is that this isn't an issue specific to Beaufort County. That this is something that's happened with other county transportation committees around the state. So I know that the Municipal Association is aware of other places and would like to impact or make some changes to them. Oh yeah. This is from Alice. The CTC application can be found on the website, and anybody can apply within the district.
Thank you, Alice.
So I think it's a larger issue than ours, but I think this CTC has the autonomy to revisit that decision. I would hope that they would formally, as a group, adopt this policy, or not adopt this policy. But I think it's something that, in my opinion, would probably take some formal action of the entire committee. Short of that funding, obviously we have gone in a different direction with the lost. So available funding to address road improvements or the expansion of our sidewalk system is somewhat in limbo because there is no dedicated funding source of any sort right now. So that's something we need to think about. It dovetails into the next item. We briefly touched on the tag fee at the last meeting. It's not an agenda item this month, but I still wanted to include it in the briefing. I do know that both Beaufort and Bluffton are in discussions. I don't think either is formally passed it. I think both have included it as potential remedies to the shortfalls that we're all kind of anticipating to kind of help cover some costs associated with capital for the upcoming year, at least both of those municipalities. The scope that the mayor mentioned in the last meeting kind of limited it to right-of-way improvements. And I assume if we were ever to consider it, that's where we'd go with it. So just wanted to keep y'all aware.
That just sets a precedence with the state or with the county, whoever. So, they're gonna take care of the roads? They got,
You did it once and keep doing it.
Even the CTC dollars, in that way, I agree with what you're saying, but the CTC dollars will never flow enough for us to take care of the number of roads and right-of-way projects that we have, so we have to consider consider some sort of an option. Then we had talked a little bit about you doing some, running that spreadsheet with some other possible dollar amounts. If you get a chance, could you throw that together and send it to us?
Yeah, I did, and obviously, at different thresholds, whether it be
25?
Yeah, depending upon what you charge. I mean, I think at $25, I think it generated around $300,000 annually.
175, I thought the number was?
Maybe it was 175.
175,
I'd have to dig it out.
175.
Sounds high.
Yeah. And so then you just take the percentage. So.
Yeah. So I'd like to see it at maybe 20, 50, something like that.
Okay. Next topic, Mr. Bob Bender, you're all familiar with Bob. A number of other entities are undertaking efforts to recognize his work, his environmental work in northern Beaufort County. And one of the things that suggested to us that we do any sort of, day recognizing Bob and what he's done. And one of the other things that they're suggesting, if you've got time, make a 10, 15-second video and email, and I'll send you the email contact for that to send to Bob. That's something that you can do as well. But I don't know if y'all wanted to formally take this up next week. I think time is of the essence. So let you guys discuss that right now if you'd like.
Yeah. Certainly, everybody ask Ben to draft something that we can consider and officially vote on?
Yeah, I think we probably all gotten phone calls and emails, this week. I know I certainly have. And folks were leaning towards possibly Earth Day. I think Kevin brought up an email he had communicated with somebody, and there was a sense of urgency as far as timing goes. I remember in years past, there was like an Estuaries Day that Bob always celebrated also. I don't know if that's a consideration or not, but he did tours and all that stuff. Something to think about. Bob, Kevin, what did you get? What kind of information did you
He's
get?
spoke with his brother. His brother's taking care of him. He's been confined he's back at his house. He was in a home here for a while. He's been brought to his house, which is usually never a good sign. He's upstairs. He's not mobile, so he can't come in or anything. And his people are listening, but time is of the essence. Yeah. So.
And I think if we wanted to do something, Ben, I don't mean to have my back to you, but I think if we want to do something, we should do it, maybe do it over in the big field right in front of his house, where maybe they could pull him to the window and
Yeah.
see us recognizing him. So not can he just hear it, but he would be able to see us outside that window and know how much we appreciate it.
It would absolutely, it would mean a lot to me. I think
Because
that's a
he
good
sent me-
idea.
He actually sent me himself a message this week.
Okay, good, so it's still,
Yeah, I'm fine with whatever, the council comes up with.
Just need to pick a day.
Darrell, do you have something?
Oh,
We need to pick a day and try to get the resolution, so, and if we need to
Yeah.
start the meeting over there next week for some reason, then
I like
maybe that's.
estuary. If there is an estuary day, that kind of
Yeah.
makes sense with
With him.
Yeah, that kind of falls right in with him. If there is an estuary.
He celebrated, because I took my girls there before, and Alice Howard was there before, and we walked the marshes and stuff.
Just
Yeah.
Google estuary day.
But
Okay.
whatever, we
Yeah.
recognize whatever.
Whatever y'all.
Let's figure something out for next week. Okay?
And make it a resolution for next week.
Yeah, I think a resolution would be the right way to
Yes.
do it if we're naming a day.
Yeah, we
yes.
can drive
And then try to pick a ceremony day kind of
Immediately.
soon after that.
Soon after that, out in front of his house, or see if we can't present it, or maybe talk with his brother and see if it's availability for somebody to enter to present the resolution. And if that's the case, you guys have known him
Yeah, I
longer
know
than
Paul
I have. I
Sound
know him.
Foundation is working on something also. I
Right.
don't know if we just join efforts, or
Yeah.
how we do that.
Right, I know the Paul, right, I heard the Paul Royal Sound Foundation is absolutely, I thought their executive director was reaching out to you. Did that happen?
She did. I mean, Chris Marsh came by with something he asked me to sign that I think they were going to present to him. But beyond that, I'm not sure what their definitive plans are. They were just asking if we would do something.
Okay,
I think we probably need to do it sooner.
soon, so next week's meeting. Okay,
Yeah,
I think you got direction.
It can't wait till next week. I don't.
Yeah.
yeah, next week's meeting.
Brooke
Okay.
just pointed out Estuary Week is in September.
Okay, well then,
Well, we can still do the resolution now that we're going to dedicate that week in his name. We can do that now and say that,
Maybe we can start the council meeting there by just doing that resolution.
we could possibly start the
Just
council
start
meeting
there
right
and
outside his
come
house
here
quickly
that
and then
way.
move back to here. We could get a little bit earlier, start it maybe earlier on site for
Yeah.
the one item. Think about how we could do that legally. Get with
Yeah.
us. We'll make it happen.
If anybody would challenge us over that. would-
Nobody, right, nobody's gonna challenge us over that, so you're absolutely right. All right, I like that idea. I think it's a good idea.
we can go live with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just,
Okay.
almost as we walk in.
Yeah.
We're good.
Awesome, that's good. Good stuff,
Thank
guys.
you,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Next item is Naval Hospital sidewalk. And we did get some contact from the DOT. I think they're ready to kind of move that forward. We're still working with the Department of Navy on the official abandonment of the old Shell right-of-way. Ironically, it was them that made that suggestion, and Tab created all of the paperwork, sent it to them. And we had hoped to hear something in April, but we did not. He has reached back out to the Department of Navy contact that he has to see if we can get that expedited and get that moving forward.
Very good.
All right. We did talk a little bit about this next topic. I'm still kind of working on that one. I do have somebody that's going to give us an assessment of where we stand with that. I don't want to discuss that too publicly, but that's where we are. Drainage issues, we did have one small project that we did on Fort Frederick Circle. It was kind of a ditch clearing on an existing ditch that was adjacent to a drainage box. And I think in 1998 or 99, it was part of a settlement and transfer of the ownership of the road from the state to the town. We accepted the obligation of the ditch maintenance, and so we're doing that. Second issue is was prompted by a house on 11th Street where we had kind of a drainage problem, and a lot of it was being exacerbated by the root systems of the oak trees in that neighborhood. Subsequent to that, if you go around the corner to 9th Street, near David Kell's house, there's also another section that has been lifted because of the root systems of the oak trees. So those root systems are causing a change in grade and shifting and moving water in directions it was not intended to do. And it got into a larger discussion of how healthy is it having that many trees, that many oak trees adjacent to one another in such a small area. So it was suggested that maybe we have an arborist come in and evaluate that canopy and how it could be healthier depending upon the number of trees that are currently there. And if we may need to move some of those trees. I'm not suggesting we cut them down. I'm suggesting if we do, we relocate them if they can be relocated. So I'm going to defer to him on that. I don't want to make some arbitrary decision. Short of that, you're going to continue to have the sidewalk issues that you have. That neighborhood was originally designed to pitch the water from the front of the properties through the properties to the rear drainage boxes and the alleyways. What's happened, and this is natural, homeowners do these things, they add shrubberies, they add other things that create barricades, and so that natural routing of water, or routing as it was designed, doesn't always happen anymore, and so we get accumulation of water in yards. And so we're trying to deal with it when we can. So I just wanted y'all to be aware. I'll probably bring Michael Murphy in to take a look at those trees.
And I remember in the budget workshop that you left some money in next year's
Yes.
budget to do this.
Yes.
Okay, good, thank you.
Traffic, you're obviously aware of the accident that happened this past week, or this week. But one of the other things that has been brought up repeatedly in different areas is the speeding that's occurring. We had been deferring to the outcome of the tool study to maybe implement some of the traffic calming suggestions that they'd incorporated into that study. Obviously, we haven't been able to move forward with that, and to be quite honest with you, a lot of the projects within that study have some pretty significant price tags. And due to not really having a pot of money to address them, we may need to look at what we can do right now to remedy some of the traffic speeding concerns through some of the neighborhoods. One of the things that's probably within our reach is, we have been using speed bumps, but something that's a little bit more aesthetically pleasing is a speed table. There's other names for them. I think in the tool study they call them speed cushions. But I think there are some areas that we can probably install those. I noted, and I think we heard this, is that what's happening now is traffic not wanting to use Pinckney Boulevard and going left because of the volume of traffic and the speed of the traffic on Rebro Road is turning left on Old Shell and traveling and coming to either 16th or 14th Street to get at the signal. And that's really almost an unimpeded run until you get to the intersection of Richmond Avenue along Old Shell Road. That's where you encountered the first stop sign, and that's only because y'all directed staff to put a stop sign there, maybe 2 years ago? Before that, it was an unimpeded run until you got to Paris Avenue. And I think that's been helpful in slowing down traffic there. But, you know, we're also seeing some traffic on Edinburgh, which we had in the past, which we installed. First, we installed a speed bump, and they did one, and so we took it out. And then we added stop signs, which, you know, people complain that, oh, they don't completely stop for the stop sign, but they are slowing down. So I think we need to look at adding some speed bumps or speed tables in locations. And I'll turn it over to y'all to discuss.
Kevin, go ahead.
What's a speed table?
Kind of goes up and kind of levels off. And
It's about a 4-foot wide, flat area raised like a
Sidewalk.
speed bump, so.
Okay.
You probably, when you lived in Charleston, you probably saw some of them, and I've seen them in Avondale, in West Ashley, and some of the others where they're the gradual, a table.
Gotcha.
and,
So just the
Yeah.
bump. Okay. I just called them all speed bumps. I got it. It's a table.
Pinch table. That works, that works.
Yeah, I think they're easier on cars,
Mhm,
a
then just
little bit
the-
easier on cars, but it does require you to slow down even a little bit more. You gotta go up and then back down again.
Okay.
Two questions, or one statement and one question. The ordinance that that was passed by the council does allow you as staff to decide to put these things in and put speed bumps, to put stop signs on. We don't have to vote as a council to do that. You can do that with your police force. Okay. Want to make sure I had that right. That's what I thought we passed. The second is, yeah, we're seeing it in the peninsula in Port Royal, but we're really seeing it all over Port Royal. Speed is up. Speed is up wherever you go right now. And I'm wondering if you can't work with Chief a little bit to maybe come up with a plan, and if we need to do some marketing and let people know, hey, it's time to slow down in Port Royal. You give out a bunch of warnings and then go beyond warnings. I don't know what else to do other than that, but, you know, you can't, every one of us go over what I call the Battery Creek Bridge, the causeway from Riverboat Road to Paris Island. I mean, they fly by you.
In
and
the
they
past,
come
I've
in.
seen the rotation of the digital speed sign, but I haven't seen that lately.
It's down right now, it's being repaired.
There you go. So there you go. Good point, Carl. Good point. I mean, it's just, somehow we got to get it out there. We've all been stuck indoors, and now people are getting out, and I don't know if that's part of why people are moving a little bit faster, but is there anything, if you can get with Chief to see if there's anything we can do to slow
And to
down
be
traffic.
quite honest, you probably saw a significant drop in speeding ticket volume, not just in Port Royal, but everywhere, because we wanted to limit social interactions. But, you know,
Maybe it's time to remind people we're back out there.
yes.
I'll say,
You know, I don't know. I just,
It's
yeah,
bad.
Kevin.
I was just in the town, as far as a specific area, I've had multiple residents talk about 16th Street, and how they say, like you were just saying, there's not a sidewalk either, so you're kind of just walking on 16th, and it's just like you said, a straight shot. So I've heard that from multiple, as a specific area,
You
from
got something?
multiple.
Mary Beth, you have something?
No, Old
Okay.
Shell Road is Indianapolis by Cole.
Yeah, you think about Old Shell Road, I think about Old Shell 16th seems to be another good spot for a stop sign in my mind, but that's between you and the police department. To me, that's kind of, again, another spot, it'll slow them down coming to the hard curve, coming around the hard curve, they won't immediately speed up and get going. You know, I think it's another good spot, but again, work with,
That's-
work.
I think that's the second death, if I'm not mistaken, in
Right
Fort
there.
Royal on Old Shell Road.
Oh, didn't know that.
Because we had an elderly lady that was hit and killed over there on that road years ago.
I think we're asking everybody to please slow down. Through Port Royal, in Port Royal, everywhere, please slow down.
Everywhere,
We
yeah.
really need that.
Well,
And there
there's-
are more people spending time outdoor, riding their bikes, walking, doing things, and we just need to just,
Well, it's, a lot of kids are out now
Mhm.
too, and the kids are out running and, you know, up and down the streets, and I mean, I think people really need to be more cautious about that with all the children out in the street.
and no camps this summer, no summer school, so it's gonna be like this for a while right now. is what we get.
Norma Kula is saying also West Paris is very busy access to the village and is virtually a raceway.
Yep.
West Paris is, that's been a big issue.
Yeah, that's the way I come in, and if I'm doing 25, there's somebody normally right on my bumper.
That's okay?
Ladies
Yeah,
Island
West
Drive,
Paris,
King
they just
Ashmore.
had somebody on West Paris just moved in and they have a bunch of children. And I think if there's any way to slow that traffic down on West Paris coming in, we have got to do something. We had talked about it once before and we hadn't done anything, but it is really bad over on West Paris. So I definitely think we need West Paris something.
All right. Thank you, everybody. It's a good conversation. We'll keep this one going. And it was one of our goals, wasn't it, slow down?
Yeah, we don't have the new ones posted.
We're not on the new ones up, because it was one of our goals that we chose also,
Yeah.
so.
I'll talk to my sign guy.
Yeah, talk to the design guy.
All right, just two more items under the briefing. Duck lines, just wanted to let you know that the aerator has been ordered. It is in Canada, and we hope to have it here soon. It's just one of those things we're dealing with at the moment. But it is, and it's also going to be covered under maintenance agreement and will be maintained as well. And then just real quickly, we did close on the transaction for the Lavon shed. So that is purchased and included in our portfolio and will be part of the
Well done.
previously discussed subject.
Good job.
One of the items dropped off of here, because I assume it's done, is the monument on,
The Gullah Monument?
Yes.
Yeah, we have signed the documents with Palmetto, Southern Palmetto, and they were going to be doing the installation.
so we're getting some landscaping in
Yeah.
there now around it, that's the last piece, great, thanks,
Yeah.
appreciate it. I figured it dropped off because it was done,
Yeah.
just wanted to make sure, thank
It's
you.
there.
And if we can just take 1 second, I see Dawn DeVito's on here. Thank you for making all these masks for us, Dawn. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you, Don.
Garnet would be nice. but-
Dawn, it would not be nice. Thank you for the.
Great job, Don, thank you.
We love the colors.
Any other, council have any questions for Van on this briefing, or any other discussions?
None.
Everybody's good? Okay, review the agenda for the council meeting. We have some people standing by for some of these items, right?
Yes,
So who do we have standing by?
we have Bo with Adams, who is standing by, and we also have Tim Rentz to discuss the Hamrick rezoning request.
Okay, Hamrick is a first reading, Bo is a second reading, correct? Is everybody okay with just letting Bo go ahead and do his
Well,
presentation now?
Bo
think he
just
just
stepped
walked out
away
of the
from the
room.
camera.
Did Bo just walk out of the room?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, I don't have it open.
What's Michael Brock? Has he got something?
Yeah, we do have Michael Rock as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Michael
Michael's
Brock's
here
on.
to talk about his project as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
Well, we get to have to catch Bo later.
so Bo is not available. Who's available then?
Michael Brock's
Tim
there,
Rentz, Michael
and
Brock.
Tim Rentz.
Okay, first reading. Okay, first, in the order of the agenda items, the first reading, Michael Brock's project would be first, so let's go ahead and if everybody's okay with jumping around a little bit, so these people have been waiting, we'll go ahead and deal with Michael.
If I may, just, I want to have everybody's Zoom volume down, except for maybe you. If you can turn your mic on,
Okay,
that way they can hear you speak and we can hear them through your mic.
okay, so you want my volume up for that, to here, all right? I'm turning my volume back on,
You should have 8 feet.
and you want me to turn my mic back on.
Yes.
Okay, I am unmuted. We need to move, do we need to turn the volume down on that one? All right, I'm unmuted right now so that Zoom can also, so that people on Zoom can see me. I don't know if you heard that conversation. We're going to jump a little bit because people have been waiting. The first project, Michael, your project is up for first reading of the ordinance 20-10, amendment to Article 4. So I believe you have a presentation to do for us?
And Michael, I can advance the slides. All you have to do is just tell me to do that, okay?
Michael, if you could unmute yourself. Michael is not hearing me.
There you go.
There you go.
There we go.
Okay, Michael, we're going to go. Van will do the slides for you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for allowing me to come and tonight and talk about this agenda item, the RV Park text amendment. As we have talked about in a previous town council meeting, the text amendment is for the T4 NC zone to add the special use for recreation facility campground. This is in a zone that similar uses are available in this zone. This specific use was not included in 2014 when the code carved, was formed. So there were questions at the NPC meeting why that wasn't in there, and we really didn't have a solid answer for that, other than at that time it did not want it, did not want to create it, didn't want to bring in the possibility of trailer parks. Now a lot of things have changed in the last 6 years, and one of the big things is just the trend of the RV world. And I don't know, Van, if you're able to go on and go to the first slide there. But the trends are growing in the U.S. for RV travel, especially now with what we are going through. The sales, the rentals, the reservations for campgrounds are skyrocketing, up to 650% in some areas. Like I said, the sales are enormous, and the movement is people want to travel, but they want to travel safely. Before this pandemic happened, the trend for RV parks started forming along the eastern coast, especially, to a point where they were building new RV parks all along the corridor of 95. The thing is, there's not a lot being built off of 95 into the communities. And that is basically just capturing the snowbirds coming north to south to Florida. There are some popping up along 95 in our area, but that's where they're located. There's one that's going to be built in the next year in Bluffton, and it's an enormous one. It's about 400 slips. But the thing that this owner, Mike Richardson, wants to bring to Port Royal is the opportunity to bring a smaller RV park into the community, to offer tourists to come to Port Royal and come to the Low Country instead of staying out on 95. One of the things that I did in researching this, talking to area RV parks, is that Parris Island has an RV park that has 18 slips, but only 9 of them can be used by the public because 9 of them are for long-term use. They fill up very quickly, and they send people to Hardyville and to Exit 8 and out to Hunting Island. So we're losing a lot of opportunity for people to come in. As I said, there's the trend of families are moving on the road, but they want to do it safely. Retirees are traveling 6 to 8 months out of the year, going from RV park to RV park, touring the country. It's a safe alternative because they're not having to go to restaurants as much. They're not having to go to hotels. And they're able to travel, not travel on a plane, which is also a big concern. So, Van, if you could go to the next one. This is a great opportunity for us to bring tourists and visitors, give them opportunity to stay in an RV park and stay close to the Marine Corps Air Station, Port Royal waterfront, Parris Island for graduations, and then just bringing people into Port Royal to visit, to see the culture, to see what we have to offer down here instead of staying out on 95 and just going by our community. Ben, if you go to the next one. What brought about this text amendment request was a piece of property that's on Parris Island Gateway. It's in the it's off of Seagull, and this property was previously a mobile home park. It was a trailer park. The owners have removed the trailers. They're in the process of removing the dilapidated homes. They're cleaning up the community and wanting to bring something a little bit less impact. A lot of the uses that are allowed on here are going to require a lot of impervious surfaces. Something like a mobile home park is going to be less of an impervious surface ratio on this parcel, and this is a 3-acre parcel. a little over 3 acres. So there's also the idea of what will come down the road as we try to clean up Paris Island Gateway, and maybe we can start the transition of the mobile home parks. So that's the hopes of something like this use might bring to our community. As I've said, it's an opportunity to bring tourists here to use the stores, use the restaurants, shop here, and then just go down to the sands, see what's in the low country and see what we have to offer. As you can see on this plan, the property is surrounded by a mobile home park on the west and the east, and in front of it is actually a green space area that Beaufort County owns that they're talking about something like a park to put there. It is open space, so it's a nice buffer from Paris Island Gateway. And I'm offering this plan that we've done for this specific property. If you go to the next slide, and that we've worked with on what something would look like and what the text amendment is offering is having restrictions or having conditional use or conditional conditions for approving it. It has to have a minimal size. It has to have major access from arterial roads. Buffers are required. In this plan that we're using here, we're saving all the specimen trees that are in the front of the property. There's a lot of live oaks and there's some nice magnolias in here. So we're making an effort to design this to save that upper canopy. So as I said, this is an opportunity to bring something to support rural that is bringing tourists to our community. We have been to the MPC twice. The first time it was suggested that we come to the town council for advice. The second time we went after town council suggested that we go back to get a recommendation. We got 2 motions and neither one of them got a second. So we are faced to come back to town council to see how we are viewed by you and by the public at the hearing. I would love to answer any questions or concerns and have a dialogue on this agenda item.
Council have any questions for the applicant at this point?
No questions. I mean, I've got a couple of comments, but I have no questions.
Go ahead.
And Michael has said it, but I mean, I think with this pandemic, I think you're going to continue to see more and more folks using RVs because they don't want to stay in hotels and they don't want to stay in short-term rentals. They want to bring their home with them because they know who's been in it and who's cleaning it. So I think that's a positive use right there. And also, I think it's an upgrade. It's a better use for a blighted property. As you mentioned here, it's reclaiming a degraded site. I don't know if anybody's been over there, but I would encourage you to go over there. I think it's an excellent use for it. I'm a little discouraged that we've gone back and forth with MPC and still coming up with nothing. But I think it's a good opportunity here.
Linda, do you have anything you want to add before? I had a question for Linda about the actual text. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'm more of a visual person, and this has definitely enlightened me a little more also. And I don't object or oppose to these types of facilities as long as they're tastefully done. I see the one on Red Dam Road weekly, and I like the aesthetics. I like how it looks. And
for clarification for other people, Red Dam Road over in Hardyville.
Exactly.
It's a site much bigger than this. I think it's 250
right,
is the number.
And they have a little general store, and it's tastefully done. And so I agree also, I have not seen or heard about any horror stories about these type of establishments. So, but again, now seeing just something how it would be laid out, and I'm sure it's probably going to be tweaked a little bit.
I think it looks a lot better than what we got there now, that's for sure.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how do you collect your fees? Is it per vehicle, per stay? Is it the same for all vehicles? Or
Michael, could you hear the question?
it was hard to hear that, I'm
Okay,
sorry.
I'll repeat it. It's okay, because I think only my mic is on. So Kevin Phillips had a question about, these are rented by slip size, or, so you rent out each one of the slips? How are the fees? Just wondering in that aspect.
That's right. Normally what you would do is you register and reserve a spot online, or you call in and reserve a spot. It is rented by night, and under the specifications, what I did was basically left it to a 28-day maximum stay. And that's the norm in the RV world, is having a maximum stay of 28 to 30 days. Camping is less. I believe camping in a tent is 14 days.
So are they all the same price, or is it different sizes, different prices?
No, the prices are different. Normally it's based on the size of the vehicle.
So Linda, the text amendment has that 28-day limit in what we're looking at now, correct?
Yes, that's part of the condition.
Conditional is 28 days. That was one of the questions I have. Is it possible, I've heard the conversation of people doing what I call slip moving. So I do 28 days and then I just move it to the next slip next door and I stay longer. Is it possible in one of the conditional uses or Michael, is it possible to put a restriction that says that you can't return for a certain period of time? You know, you have to vacate for 5 days, before 7 days, whatever it is, before you can come back in again. So again, we're trying really hard to prevent somebody from living there and trying to circumvent that by signing different leases. An individual vehicle can't be on site for more than 28 days, not who signs the contract. Right, because then, you know, I sign it, then my wife signs it, then my son signs it, and next thing you know, you're there 3 months. And you can't return for 5 days. If somebody's traveling around and wants to come back a week later, great, come on back. Does that make sense, Michael? Is there a way for us to do that?
Yeah, just for clarification, in the specific uses that I have, it is 30 days. It's labeled in section P, but we can change that to 28 days. There are provisions to say you have to have 5 days off-site before you can come back and stay again.
Very good.
So yes, to answer your question, there are provisions to allow for something like that, for rules to
What?
normally it's two or 3 days, but I mean, that's where we can put that in this document. So it's there, it's written in stone, and we would have to have everyone that has this use would have to do that.
Right, by putting it in the conditional use, there would be anybody who builds, you wouldn't be restricted by it being something that you put in place, but putting it in the text amendment to be fair and equal to everybody who ever wants to do one. I think that's very important in that way, right?
Sure.
What sort of taxes are RV parks pay as a business?
Van, how would this park be?
It would be a 6% property, so the property itself would pay, the property tax base is the property, and because it's an accommodation, I assume that there would be some accommodation.
Yeah, so the question, in case anybody didn't hear, the question was economically, how does it benefit Port Royal? It is a commercial use, it's an accommodation use, so all of those would fall into effect with that. No exact numbers were given, in case you couldn't hear the answers.
Yeah. But I was just checking, so if we get clarification on that, like exactly what, because I just don't know what an RV park, as a business, what they're required to pay out the year.
Yeah.
And
So normally the average rate on these are about $80 a night. If you're doing the calculation of 50 slips, if 50% of them were booked, it would be just under $2,000. The accommodation tax is 3%, I believe. So that's if it was 50% full. That's average. We have the temperatures down here where the heat doesn't really affect those because they're in a mobile home. They're in an RV. It's air conditioned. In the winter is when most of them are full down here. It's hard to get a place on Hunting Island because it's so busy, because the temperature's so nice.
Yeah.
yeah,
Not
no,
a bad thing to be thinking we're the overflow for Hunting Island.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good looking design. I was question for Linda. So if we make this amendment, this will affect it'll change every T4 neighborhood open,
T4 neighborhood.
T4 neighborhood.
So yes, the way the text is written, it is an amendment to the document that would affect any property that matches up with the conditions and is T4 neighborhood.
Do we know how many properties that is? Because it has to be off a high,
The most limiting factor is the fact that
Being
it's
off
off of an arterial or collector, number one. And then number two, the size of the property. I believe it's a certain number of acres that's being allowed. There would be a handful, and I can have an analysis for you.
Okay.
at
Next
the
week?
meeting next.
like how many properties would fall under this
Would actually,
change?
yeah, correct.
Okay.
How many arterial roads do we have?
You would be Rebo Road, Paris Island Gateway, Savannah Highway, Roberts Falls Parkway.
So just four.
4, I had the same thing. Thank you, Jared, for reminding us of that.
And this is just another procedural question for me. So if it'll have a conditional use.
Yes.
So if someone else comes forward later on down the road, that we approve it, we change the zoning for the town, they come forward, if something becomes a conditional use, does that mean if they just meet conditions, they're good to go? I mean, so that's it, if you just check the boxes,
As far as the zoning review is concerned.
zoning review goes, you're good to go, okay.
Well, you're good to get started.
For that, yeah.
To get started.
Yeah.
There's more.
There's more.
Remind me, and council, maybe they know, remind me the difference between a special use and a conditional use?
A special exception.
Special exception?
Is the term that the code uses. The special exception needs to go to a board. It goes to the design review board. There are a set of criteria. Oftentimes, there are conditions also to the use, elaborated, but it goes a little bit further in that a board has to hear it and approve it. A conditional use is something that staff can
Okay.
handle.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I'll say, I think it's a great design, I like the idea, it's definitely an upgrade, like everyone was saying, I just want to look at if we change the zone across Port Royal, what are those other properties, what are they around, what are we exposing other areas to, that we unforeseen down the future, but as far as this goes, right, individually, this, I think looks good.
Okay. Michael, thank you very much for that. I think we've got all we need tonight for us to move on. I guess you'll be available next week also.
Yes, sir, sure will.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay, I see that Bo is back. I'm sorry, Tim, waiting down on the bottom patiently, but Bo is back and he is a second reading, so we'd like to go ahead and move him back up. Bo, you stepped out of the room or else you would have gone before Michael, but when we went looking, you weren't
No
there.
problem. I had people banging on the window. I'm the boy and 4-year-old right now, so that was, I stepped out and then I knew, I said, as soon as I go back, they're going to be asking where I'm at, so.
Yeah, and I believe at the last council meeting where we did pass the first reading, Jerry, it was important for you that this came back as a workshop, so do you have specific questions, or you want Bo to go ahead and make a presentation again?
No, let's hear his presentation.
Bo, go ahead and
We'll
give
have
us a
discussion
presentation
with the
again.
council.
Let me pull up, now that we're on Zoom, you want me to show you the pictures and everything again?
I got it.
We've got it up on screen here, so and Van will advance them as you want them advanced.
Okay,
So-
let me.
So that way
line up, so
citizens and people watching can see it as well. They're not watching the Zoom. Only council is
I got
watching
you,
the Zoom.
okay. Okay, hold on, let me just get mine up so we're all together.
Okay.
Okay, so the first picture, the first two pictures are just to show the two structures that we have in Port Royal. These are steel monopole structures. I'm on the second picture, proud mommy moment. So those are the two sites. The third one is a video, and it shows how this is another structure in Harveyville we took it down last year. But this is to show what happens when the hurricane is coming and we come to remove the billboard faces off to prevent them from flying off of the billboard. typically we just pull up with a boom truck, we lift it up from the top, we lay it on the ground, strap a chain around it, and call it good. What that does is allows the wind to blow through the billboard structure, and as you can see, the guy on the track he's pushing up from the bottom to show you that there's no bolts connecting this thing. It's literally just held on there by gravity. Typically, you would see a vinyl advertisement inside that, which, you know, that rusty metal panel in there. That's behind the vinyl. So that's what we're showing in this video. The tractor picks it up, it falls to the ground, and that's what we do with a boom truck. Now, the next one is, this is a billboard that's currently located at the Granger Nissan site. It too is a monopole, so it's a good representation of what you have in Port Royal. This has a hurricane frame installed on it. What you see there now is just, it's got the vinyl wrapped around it, and it's clean. It's no different than anything than what you already see. The next video, that's the back side. And if you notice, there's just a ladder going up. That's somebody, one of our guys showed up in a pickup truck, put a ladder up, and I've moved on to the next one. Now there's a video of one person going up there, and in less than a minute, or right around a minute, he has removed the billboard vinyl by himself. He wraps it up on top, he straps it down with ratchet straps, and that's it. That billboard now is hurricane safe. I think we can all agree nothing is hurricane proof to a certain extent, but that's hurricane safe. The vinyl's not going to fly off, and if the vinyl flies off, it's literally just lightweight vinyl material. But it now prevents any type of metal or heavy objects from flying off of the billboard. Basically, what we're trying to accomplish here is installing these up-to-date hurricane technology that the billboard industry has available to them. I know that, especially around here, we are in a very sensitive area as far as conservation and all that goes, and billboards are a very sensitive subject. We want to make these safe for the public. Because we cannot rebuild the billboards, because we can't bring them up to current building standards, this is the best alternative. So that's basically all we're here to do. These frame systems, literally, it's an aluminum frame that attaches to the existing billboard structure. There is no structural improvements to the base pole or anything that's in the ground. This is a lightweight aluminum framing system that goes around that allows us to remove these 300-pound metal panels that hold the advertising copy and get that out of the equation, so that when a storm comes, instead of having to hire contractors to come in, because we have a small crew, so we send them out on the road, and it takes multiple people at a time to do that. We can't get to every billboard most of the time. So we have to kind of figure out which ones are the most important to remove these faces and lay them on the ground. Even in a situation where we're up to the wire and we don't have enough resources to get out there, I could go, and especially the ones, we only have 2 billboards in Port Royal, I can almost step up onto those from the sidewalk. I mean, they're very low. I could go up there with a box cutter and slash the vinyl, and that would allow the wind to flow through it. And therefore, you don't run the risk of these advertising panels flying off, which what they're designed to do. I mean, that is the old school billboard safety technology. They were designed to fly off so that there was no wind load on the billboard structure itself. So that's where this is all coming from. You guys have it. You guys have monopole structures. The Granger site is a perfect example of what it would look like afterwards. And you wouldn't know the difference as long, once you have the vinyl copy on there, the advertisements, which they're always covered with vinyl.
Okay, so one of the council members, we have 3 billboards in Port Royal, but you're responsible for 2 of those, is what you're saying?
Yes, sir. The other one is another company.
Okay. Okay, but if we allow this, then the other company would also be allowed? Is this specific to these billboards, or is this specific to all billboards?
It would be specific to all billboards.
Okay.
So
Okay.
the other company could
Retrofit.
modify their sign and stay non-conforming, but.
Modified. And,
And the other, let me add, the other guy has, the other billboard company is CJM. I know him well. His billboard is not designed the same as ours. His is a monument style billboard. So I don't know that there's any type of hurricane frame system that could be used on what he has there. I mean, I don't know if that applies or not, but he does not have a standard monopole structure like we do, the two that we do. But it would affect his, I mean, theoretically.
Council, have questions for the applicant?
Yeah, I think you've covered a lot of them, but we established there 3 billboards in Port Royal. And what are their locations? It's along Rebo Road between the YMCA, London and Naval Hospital.
Richmond and the neighborhood.
I'm sorry, Richmond and Naval Hospital.
Well, actually, there's one on this side of Richmond, so technically Paris Avenue and Naval Hospital.
It's just those 3, and that's it in Port Royal.
That's it for Port Royal.
That's it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what's the future of billboards in Port Royal? Can more be built?
They cannot. The current code disallows them outright. That was adopted in 2014. So at that point in time, that was the end of new billboards being established in Port Royal.
So how long have these billboards been here, the existing ones?
Bo, you got any?
Bo, you have any idea when those billboards were built?
Liz, I've only been here for 2 years, so Liz probably has it.
Liz, it's been here since 85, it's been here since 1986, since I've been here.
I think the 80s, 70s, and 80s.
Yeah, it's been here since 86 that I've been here.
Yeah, it's been here a long time.
Oh, Darrell?
With this new aluminum framing, isn't that going to extend the life span of the existing billboard?
The question has come up, does this aluminum framing extend the life of the billboard structure?
No, it has nothing to do with the structural foundation of the billboard.
So how is the aluminum structure attached to the existing billboard structure? That's interesting. 2 words.
If you remember in the video where they lifted with the tractor, where they lifted the bottom, or the face of the billboard fell off, what you have left, and now that's a little bit older than what you guys have currently. But what you saw left standing with the stringers and the 2 poles, the foundation poles. These billboards only have 1 foundation pole. So anyway, the lightweight aluminum frame goes around the perimeter of those stringers that are left standing. That is the billboard structure. So you have an aluminum framing that goes around, and they're tacked on with nuts and bolts.
Okay.
They don't affect the foundation pipe.
Good.
It's more of a safety issue, isn't it, Bo?
Mary Beth was asking, this is really a safety issue, not in any way an enhancement to the structure. I don't mean to paraphrase, but that was the question you were asking, Mary Beth? All right, Liz and Bo both said correct.
It wouldn't change the size or height?
Doesn't change the size or the height in any way?
No.
No.
So tell me again what they currently do when a hurricane is approaching us with their billboards,
Nothing.
with their existing ones? They didn't go out there and take the wall off or anything?
I'll ask.
They're designed to just fall on the ground.
So our billboards right now, during the last storms that came through, did you do anything to those billboards as far as removing the vinyl or any aspect of that? And what would you do if a storm was coming to the way it is now?
We have right now, when a hurricane is coming, we go through and choose based on revenue. I mean, based on what are our most valuable assets and how quickly can we get to them. We come in with a boom truck and pick up that face and lay it on the ground. Liz, I wasn't here during Matthew, but during Matthew, did we get to those 2 signs?
No, because we were having access issues. We have not taken the faces off of those. with it now being hurricane season was the reason we were trying to get these modified to the hurricane technology. We were not able to get the truck in to lift them off.
Yeah, they're kind of down in the hole, that one especially, the one.
Yeah.
40 plus
John
years they haven't
Dollar
done anything
General
to
is
them.
down.
So what would the wind speed need to be to knock that thing down right now?
The question was, do you know what wind speed the original structures, or have you evaluated these structures as far as what wind speeds they're evaluated for now? Just trying to figure out.
I don't have the answer for these structures. I can tell you that 146 mile, I've been in the billboard business down in Florida for 18 years. My family had a billboard company. So I've been dealing with it down there, and trust me, we get our fair share of hurricanes as well. 156 mile an hour, and most billboard panels on larger 14 by 48 size signs that you see along the highway here. We don't have any anywhere in town close. That is when most of those structures are designed to, for lack of a better phrase, blow out or disassemble the upper structure. And again, you'd much rather have, and I'm going to use billboards that I've spent my life around, that are just the same billboards you have, but on a larger scale. They are designed, the thinking is, at a certain wind speed, it is better to have smaller objects leave the structure and fly off to prevent the larger column from overturning and falling on something, so on and so forth. What we have here, the issue is I'm not worried about the column turning over on these billboards. These things are steel monochrome structures. They're not going to go anywhere. They're down in little holes. What's going to happen is eventually if we get the right storm, these faces are going to fly off. And when those faces fly off, they're going to go somewhere. I've pulled those faces out of roofs in Florida. It's happened before. So that's where this preventative measure is coming from. It's a public safety issue.
So you said earlier you could just go through
We
and
would love to
cut.
have more billboards, don't get me wrong.
One second, Bob.
Knows that.
One second.
Daryl knows that, and a few others. But
One second,
that's another
Bob.
conversation for another.
He said earlier that you just go through and just take a box cutter and just cut vents through to allow the wind to just blow through. Why wouldn't you do that on these?
So the question was, you had mentioned just taking a box cutter and slashing them to allow the wind come through. Why can't we just use that process here in Port Royal, especially as low as they are?
If you remember the video where the guy's on the tractor, what that also is showing you is that billboard face, that's metal. It's a metal face behind
It has a back on it. These would not have a back. It's just a frame.
It's just
Yeah,
air.
it comes to projectile.
So I can go with a
Ours
box
have a
cutter.
back
On that,
on it,
on
so
what you have
slashing
now,
it.
if I stuck a box cutter on there, I can slash the vinyl, but there's still a metal panel.
But the entire metal frame still sits there with the whole.
I think that answered Jared's question. Yeah, thank you. I think we're free. Right, so ours have the metal frame behind there, the solid metal behind there.
And
Correct. This takes
Adams,
away basically the metal frame.
Any other?
Adams is responsible for all the costs associated with these upgrades.
Right, and this is all of the costs associated with these upgrades as part of what you're doing.
Of course.
Permit?
Unless you want to pay for it.
Negative. I don't believe council wants to pay for this. Anybody, council, any other questions for the applicant?
No, I think if they're paying the bill, it doesn't change the size, shape, and it does, I mean, physics, it does look like it makes it safer by removing that and letting the wind fly through. I mean, so.
All right, Bo, thank you very much. We'll have a public hearing on this next week and second reading on council agenda next week. Liz, thank you also.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Bud. Thank you, Liz.
Thank you.
Everybody good?
Good.
Van?
Just because it's a workshop and we're kind of informal, there was a question during the RV park, and it was from Phil Alling: how does the town ensure the maximum 30-day stay is not violated?
Let's make sure we ask that question next week when the applicant's present again for
I think that
second
was
reading.
a question of us, I mean, because they can assure us, but I think the provisions you mentioned about, moving spaces. But I think there are tax implications if something stays in place for more than X number of days, it becomes almost a fixture of
It's a
Beaufort
fixture,
County.
yeah.
And
Can't
then it
take
can
it.
be taxed from a property
Okay.
perspective, but
Well-
I'm not sure what the cutoff date is.
We'll look
I'm
into
sure
that.
Jim Becker knows.
Yep. Yes. Okay, the other thing we have applicants standing by for is first reading of the rezoning of 13.9 acres on Hambrick Lane. And I think Mr. Tim Rentz and his partner are here. Tim, can you hear me?
Yeah, Joe, thank you. I'm gonna let our pastor, Taylor Burgess, speak first.
Go ahead.
You know, for inviting us to be a part of this evening. And I'm here with Tim Rentz. My name is Taylor Burgess. If we haven't had a chance to meet yet, I'm pastor of Cross Community Church here at Beaufort. We currently meet at the YMCA on Sunday mornings. I have the privilege of serving on the board at the Y as well, so a good relationship there. And our church is now coming up on 4 years old, and we are seeking permanent home long-term, and wanted to be within relative proximity of where we currently meet. And so became aware of the Hambrick Drive property a few months ago and have been in conversation about this property for a while. And so we do actually have the property under contract right now, but the sale of that property is contingent on the rezoning. So over the last few weeks, we've had a really positive, had a really positive meeting a couple weeks ago with a representation of the neighborhood there, and they have made clear that they're all for the church coming in. The concern that's been expressed by the neighbors is that if we rezone up additional levels as we're pursuing right now, what could potentially go into that property if for some reason we were not to close on it. So again, they've been all for the church coming in just with their concern, which we consider to be completely valid. Their concern was what could go there in the event that we ultimately did not purchase the property, especially now the property would be going up a couple of zones. So yesterday, Tim had been in conversation with Linda Bridges and with Dr. Burns, the current owner of the property, just to get an update on some things ahead of next week's meeting, because what we discussed and what came out of the Metropolitan Planning Commission meeting was that we would pursue a deed restriction that would, once it was rezoned, would limit the use of the property to church only. And so after having conversation with Linda and Dr. Burns yesterday, Tim got a couple of updates that we wanted to be able to share with you, because we would absolutely value the council's input on this so that we can keep an open line of communication with neighbors ahead of next Tuesday's meeting. So I'll let Tim share what was updated from what we learned yesterday.
Mayor and council members, thank you very much for this opportunity. We actually have like three major concerns with the rezoning of the property. The first one is with the adjacent neighbors. The last thing we want to do is to have the property rezoned to higher zoning and something happen and things, something get built that's not supposed to be built. During the last meeting with the Municipal Planning Board, the discussion at that time was to have Dr. Burris go ahead and place a deed restriction on the property, saying that, the property can only be used for a church under the expanded zone. Dr. Burris's attorney has recommended that he not do that, because if something happened and we, property didn't get closed, you have a higher zoning and he can't find a church to build on the property, then he's basically stuck with a valuable piece of property he can't do anything with. And then you have the church's concern, which is we don't want to close on the property if we can't build a church. And so one of the things we're hoping to do this evening is to maybe find some way of meeting the needs of all three parties. The property right now, the contract states we're supposed to close the middle of July. So, time is of the essence.
And one element we became aware of yesterday in Tim's conversations is the potential that under the current zoning, a church could build with only up to a certain number of square feet. That wouldn't be enough for what we need to do. And I believe what was discussed yesterday was the potential for some sort of variance that would allow us more square footage than what would be allowed under the current zoning. And so again, we're not the owners of the property yet. We're pursuing this. And so some of these things we just became aware of yesterday, but then again, very much value your input this evening so we can be fully prepared when we come for the reading next week.
Any questions for the applicant right now?
None from me.
Are they purchasing the entire property?
Question is, you are purchasing the entire property?
It is, I'm not sure which map you have up there. Our total amount is 13, it's right at 14 acres, about 13.9. Current owner is going to retain approximately 1 acre of the total 15-acre plot, but we'll be purchasing 14 of those acres. It's 13.9 and change is the total acreage.
Okay.
And that little portion was not going to be rezoned.
So he's keeping that.
It was going to stay at the current zoning.
Okay. Okay.
And this is the same property that the Shell Point people came to us before and we had the discussions on. And I think at that time he was looking at putting something else in there.
Condos and stuff.
And that's their fear, is that if this church falls through,
Carriage
then
apartments.
he can go ahead with those.
Right. So the discussion going on about what the fear of the neighborhood is, as you've described, that if for some reason you don't close, or you close and decide not to build a church, because that is an option as well, then we do have a zoning on here that we have supported the neighborhood in the past to not go to. And actually, a one higher zoning than what you have supported in the past, not moving forward to. So we're actually doing a 2 zoning upgrade to get the church, and we've already denied a single zone upgrade. So I think that's the concern, obviously, that we're all trying to work through. Linda, can you talk about the variance that was mentioned here, and how, and if that is viable? We've asked Linda to explain the variance.
Yes, what we started to discuss is that, as Tim has pointed out, Mr. Rentz has pointed out, that churches are allowed in the zoning designation that's there already, T3 suburban neighborhood. A variance might be crafted, or a request for a variance might be crafted around simply the idea of size. That if the applicant went to the zoning board of appeals, that would be the proper body, and presented to them a case for a hardship along the lines of the size of property in an existing neighborhood, giving, so that they could give relief to the minimum size, which I think in T3 suburban would be 5,000 square feet.
I think that's correct.
And if this rezoning were successful, it would give them the opportunity to be greater than 10,000 square feet. So therein lies the question. That's why we're here. That is.
So what's the proposed square footage?
What is the square footage, Tim, that was the question, all right? What is the square footage that you're needing on this property?
Phase 1, and this is purely conceptual with what we've gotten so far since we're very early in the process. The phase 1 is looking at roughly about 16,000 square feet. And then the long-term phase 2 would be an additional approximately 25,000 square feet. So we're looking at 40 to 42,000 square feet over. Again, phase 2 for us is, it could never happen, but it could happen. And so we wanted to present that as a potential long-term. We've shown that conceptual design to the neighborhood representation as well. And so on that property long-term, we could be looking at up to 40 to 45,000 square feet, somewhere in that range.
Very good.
But the concept, the way it is now, is that two entrance and exit points, or just one?
Question about entrance and exit points. You're currently touching two roads, both Hamrick and, I think that's Shell Point Park Road, or Shell Point Community Park Road, or something like that. I can't remember exactly. Is that right, Tim?
Yeah, the Shell Point Park Road would be our main entrance and exit point.
Okay.
The way we envision it now, that would be hard surface. We'd also have a gravel road, which would allow, some people to go onto Broad River Boulevard. But we would be encouraging people to go out the rec road.
Okay. So are they buying the road? Hamrick?
It is owned by the current owner, and yes,
It's just a dirt.
they could be buying that. It's a parcel of land
There's gravel on it.
with an
Not even
agreed
gravel.
easement with Beaufort County to get back to the park.
So there's some discussion about Hamrick Lane, that it is part of this parcel?
It's an access easement.
Yes, I'm not looking at the plat right now.
Okay.
But I know the majority of it is, on the property. I don't know about all of it.
So that's an access easement.
Hamrick's down.
And Hamrick's down on the bottom there?
I misunderstood your question. I thought you were talking about Rec Road.
No, Hamrick is on, you have that portioned off on that drawing as well. Did I see that? Yeah.
Give me a second.
So that is also a 50-foot easement. Okay, it says 50-foot easement. Okay, so both roads. So both roads are owned by this parcel, and there's existing easements on both roads.
Correct.
Okay.
I think Alice Howard just said Shell Point Road is, she thinks is county owned.
Okay. So this is definitely, I hate to say the chicken for the egg thing scenario, is exactly what we've got here.
Yeah.
It's a project that makes sense for this property, but it has the one pitfall, which is if the project doesn't go forward, there's no way for us to turn the zoning back. Because we would be, Van, am I correct, we would be devaluing the property in some aspects? And we can't, can the town, if this project falls through, can the town rezone it without the applicant asking? No. We could. We would be putting ourselves liable for devaluing the property in some aspect, correct? I just want to I'm speaking out loud, but I just want to make sure we're all thinking that way.
And just so you know, we have some comments on Facebook, and I think we have somebody on the phone that might make comment on it.
Okay.
Could you do it contingent upon the
Can we, well, hold on a second, we're still asking some internal questions. Can our motion and ordinance have a effective date of the same as the closing date? That if the closing doesn't happen, it doesn't carry?
So it's contingent upon the closing?
Contingent upon the closing. Now, this is going to be a Mary question, isn't it?
That's a lawyer.
This is a lawyer's question. There you go. So, Tim, once again, you got us getting the lawyers. So, but I think that's a question that we're going to need answered.
Sure.
I think it's a question we'd like to know an answer for.
I will say from the church, I'm encouraged to hear that they went out and were proactive, speaking with residents and and talking with them and getting them involved in the conversations.
How did those talks go?
I think we're going to find that out. I think that's what we have on, so we'll ask that, and then we've got some comments. It may be difficult, Tim, for you to hear them all. We'll do our best. We're going to be reading some are on the phone.
Can we ask them real quick? Because they said that earlier, that they had positive comeback. How did they reach out to the?
Tim, can you describe the meeting with the neighborhood, please, and how it went?
We were really excited. The neighbors like the idea of the church going there. They're really for that. I mean, the concern the whole time, I guess there's really two concerns. One is that they get upzoned and the church not go there. I mean, that's the biggest concern. The other concern that was expressed is not having a nursery or
School.
Yeah, a school, anything. You know, we do want at some time to have the ability to have small groups come in to be trained as pastors, to be trained as missionaries or something like that. We don't, you know, we definitely want that ability, and the neighbors seem to like that, but we definitely want to restrict, you know, 12th grade and under from, you know, the traffic was a big concern if we had a school.
And they were okay with, you know, the idea that the majority of our traffic is obviously going to be limited to one day a week. We have regular operations throughout the course of the week, but obviously nothing majorly significant. So the big concern was if we ever had plans to have a school or daycare at all, but that's not at all in our long-term plans. And so we were able to have really positive discussions around that.
Good. Answer question? All right, we've got somebody on for comment.
Someone on the phone for a comment?
Yeah, I mean, I'm listening. This is Trey Smith. I'm the adjacent property owner just to the north. I'm liking everything that I'm hearing about, you know, variance. I don't know how quickly that could be done. You know, speaking on behalf of several of the neighbors, I don't know the opinions of all of them, but your immediate neighbor, I'm all for the church to be able to put a building there versus, you know, a lot of homes or duplexes that could potentially devalue the neighborhood. Also, it was my understanding that the church has a water runoff plan that should, you know, be beneficial to our neighborhood versus a bunch of homes and concrete and surfaces that will, you know, be pushing more water off on us. So,
thank you for that comment. There was some Facebook comments that need to be read in.
Yes, sir. Miss Sandy Thompson would like to know, so what stops the church from selling property if they decide not to build?
Thank you.
And County Council member Alice Howard, regarding the roads, she believes Shell Wreck Road is county-owned, and it looks like Hamrick is on the county road list as well, but she is not 100% sure, but assume looking into that. Ms. D. Simpson, if you allow for a variance, the church could continue without rezoning and exceed the allowed square footage slightly. And this is from a Hamrick resident. Ms. Gail Jolly, there is a contract in place. Tim and the pastor stated they cannot back out. So why is Dr. Burris backing out of the deal now? During the commission's meeting, there were no indications by the doctor to a deed restriction. No church, no deal. Mr. Phil Alling, why can't there be a deed restriction for the sale only? County Council member Howard also was wondering, does the church plan to hook up to Beaufort Jasper Water for wastewater? And let's see. No, Mr. Joel Chitty, no church, no rezone. And Ms. D. Simpson replied to his saying, meaning only rezone if for church, question mark.
Okay.
And that was all of them.
Thank you. Tim, Pastor, thank you. Any other questions for the applicant?
No, sir, none from me.
Everybody's good? Tim, Pastor, thank you very much for the information. I think we've got questions that we want to get answered. Please keep pursuing the variance possibility, and we'll talk again next week.
All right, thank you, Jeff.
Have a good night.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, so we don't need Zoom anymore, right? We can close this?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to close out Zoom. Well, no, Reese is on there, so we'll keep it open. Reese can stay there, right? Reese, I'm going to mute my mic again, but you can hear me. You're on Facebook as well. I'll keep it running.
Who's on Facebook?
I'm on the phone.
Oh, you're on the phone. Okay, very good.
You want to turn the camera?
All right, I just didn't want any feedback happening. All right, very good. So we jumped the agenda. Let's get back to the agenda from the beginning now. Any questions about any agenda items? Anything we want to delete, add to the agenda?
None from me.
I just had one question about the budget.
Sure, go for it.
But I
That is
didn't-
agenda item.
But I just didn't know, just under buildings. What does that mean, at the end, the special contracts? So the city of Beaufort
They
does,
do,
they do our commercial inspections?
Yeah, they right now do our commercial inspections.
Okay,
Commercial only?
Yeah,
Commercial only.
And then if Burl's on vacation, they fill in and do the residential first. Then we don't have to have another person.
Very good.
Okay. That was it, like I said, just clarification on that.
We've got a number of minutes we should all be prepared for. We usually are, so without that won't be a problem.
Oh, one more thing.
Go.
Sorry.
Just an item
The
number? CDBG grant?
Yes. Can you just get a little more, I read it and like clarification on exactly what that is, how long that's been around, is that, is it new?
No.
It's been around long.
Yeah, we submitted this project, was last year, year before last. And because of the cost associated with the project plus the census information, because CDBG obviously has to be spent in low to moderate income areas. So we asked them to revisit that project to see if it could potentially be funded. So they decided that this is something they were willing to, this is low cost, to move forward to the Department of Commerce for consideration. In order to do that, the town's commitment or a match is a little over $400,000. That is a requirement of the Department of Commerce because of, I think, the per house costs associated with it, and because of the size. It's going to be about $1 million worth of infrastructure improvements and additions to the sewer system for Beaufort Jasper Water and Sewer Authority. So based upon us committing to the additional match, exploring some partnership opportunities with Beaufort Jasper, it's a project that could help provide sewer to those areas that currently don't have it. Because one of our long-range goals is to get the entire town.
Must do.
It's right behind you.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, must do.
On sewer, and this is a chance for us to do that. And if, like I said, we don't own the system, but we have been new advocates for pursuing the CDBGs to keep making additions to the system.
Kevin, just community development block grant.
Yeah.
Program's been around very, very long time.
Well, I've been on the COG board for 27 years, and it's been there
It's
since
been
I
around.
was there.
But it is restricted to who can apply for it. Municipality, county, the water authority cannot apply directly for
And is
that.
Low income.
it just always there, you can just apply
The
periodically when it
funding-
goes?
Funding fluctuates.
Okay.
And there's different cycles for different types of projects.
Like you can do one for the water and sewer, or you can do something for low income to rehabilitate house. I mean, just different things.
There can be some road beautification, but that's a
We
little
did
bit.
stormwater in Casablanca with it, 8, 9, 10 years ago.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So it's just something to help us. They get the grant money at the COG and they actually allocate it if we win the bid. Because we're in the 4 counties, so we're Hampton, Colleton, Jasper, and Beaufort. So whatever and whoever gets the bids in and wins the bid, and then they would facilitate making sure we got the grant money.
And that we use the
And
money
account.
appropriately. they actually, and the grants can actually assist the property owners if they're low to moderate income, actually getting connected to the home. I mean, it really.
Yeah, it sounds
For
great.
certain houses, it's literally a turnkey in some aspect. For others, they have to pay for some of this stuff.
Yeah, like,
I think
yeah, O'Shell Road we did, low to moderate income.
For our low to moderate income
I
residents.
think the key here is the partnership with the Water Authority. It's really important.
That is-
I
that's really
think that's the key on this one.
And then I
We
see
need to
we,
get it soon.
we got some appointments coming up. Do we want to discuss going forward a process for that where we have some consistency and?
No, go.
I think we had talked about maybe an interview process.
Okay.
So maybe we could get each one in, in here
So
kind of individually, and we as a council, let's do an interview. I think we've got 3, potentially 4 people. Bro, correct me. We've got 3, potentially 4.
2 applications in and another 3 possibilities.
So,
go.
I was just saying, we say what position comes open, we advertise it. I assume we've advertised, so advertise it for, until applications due by this date, and then from that date, set up set up interview dates and.
So the question, Meredith, go.
What we have always done in the past is that we would all talk about it, and then, we would interview, talk to them, see, their qualifications and stuff. And then as a body, we would make a recommendation to the county council person.
Well, that's on the CCC there.
But I'm talking about Parks and Rec, redevelopment commissions on next.
As a group,
We review their applications.
By the application.
So now, okay. I mean, I think whatever, just as long as we're just consistent.
No, I
across
just
all
think
our-
having them come in and explain, what they think they're gonna be bringing to the board, I think is appropriate. So do we do that at a workshop, and then we vote on it the following
Yes,
meeting?
I suppose.
So this one, we've kind of missed the boat here a little bit, but let's say we do a July workshop interview, so close the application like a week before, so we can all get and read. We certainly don't want somebody submitting the day before, the day of, that we don't get a chance, I guess. I'm just thinking out loud
Yeah.
here. And then we do an interview, casual, why do you want to be here? And then the following week, we vote on somebody.
Yeah, the person, I think, in my opinion, the person needs to be here.
Yep.
And then an important question is, like you said, what makes you the best candidate for this job?
What do you bring to it? How are you going to help the
What do you
town, how are you going to
want?
help us?
And I've said before, I think if people are serving on boards and commissions, they need to have skin in the game. They need to be a resident or do business here. They need to have skin in the game. We don't need people who don't have a vested interest in our town telling us and making recommendations about our town. That's what I feel. That's what I believe.
So I get you need to notify the applicants of the process that's going to happen with the redevelopment commission. Anybody that's already submitted and any future ones that submit, and July workshop, we'll see them. Make sense? Everybody good?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, just as long as we're
And
consistent.
then that's what we'll do moving forward in aspects. Not for reappointments. We certainly don't need to interview a
We've already vetted
reappointment.
them, I think.
They're there, and that'll just be a straight reappointment in that aspect.
I think it's great that we have potentially 4 people wanting to go on a board, on one particular board. I think it's great. I think that shows.
It's a good problem.
Community
That's
interest.
right.
So that approval on the amendment for citizens participation plan, you want to do a quick briefing on that one? Sorry, item 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah, basically, the item B is basically in response to complying with community development block grant standards for, we've done the ADA compliance, but this is something they submitted to us, and we need to do in order to be in compliance with our CDBG submittal. Make sure that we're dotting all the i's and crossing t's.
Does anybody need to be rebriefed on the MOU with the South Carolina Attorney General? Everybody got that one?
Yeah.
Okay. Important dates, June 15th, Metro Planning Commission is the only one.
And just a reminder about next Tuesday again, the primary.
Primary next
Because this
Tuesday.
year, we will be closed, the town will be closed, the building will be open for voting.
Let me say that again to make sure everybody heard. So next Tuesday, this overall town hall is used for the primary, for the safety of our employees. They will not be here. We're going to close that day. We're going to allow the building to be used for the primary election. We will sanitize the building the next day and return half a day the following day. So half a day on Wednesday, return to work Wednesday, half a day.
And what would be ideal is if some folks could get out there and vote this week, absentee, and that would kind of cut down on the amount of traffic we have in here.
Thank you, Jerry, for reminding everybody absentee ballot is open and ready, and you said it was an easy process.
Very easy, very easy. I did it myself.
Okay. Anything else for the good of the town? We don't need an emotion. We have completed everything on the agenda. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody who watched. Reese, thanks for everything.
He's got to come in.
Wait, Darryl.
Slide it in.
He's sliding one in.
Yeah, actually, I've been, Van did address the reopening of our offices and so forth, but I spent a lot of time down at the Sands Beach also. And when I moved into this town in '96, I received a ticket for $1,058 for riding my bicycle on the pier. At that time, there was a sign that was erected that vaguely had on the bottom, "Do not have your bike in there." That sign is no longer there. This morning, I had a couple people to approach me in regards to the congestion on the pier and folks riding their bicycles on the pier and not exiting the bicycle and walking it through. And so it was suggested that we erect some signage again that says either no bicycle or disembark. I know when I go out to Savannah, to Forsyth Park, they have an area where they tell skateboarders and bicyclists to disembark. Get off here, no bicycle in this area. Yeah. And that has been a concern from a couple of the attendees down at the pier. So I wanted to bring that.
Walk your bike. I think we shouldn't close it to them, but walk your bike.
Walk your bike.
Walk your bike.
Right. Yeah. Because some people may come from one end and go to the other. So that as long as they're walking it, that's fine. But there shouldn't be anyone riding their bike, particularly with people fishing and children out there that are so unpredictable. So
I think it's a great idea.
I'll talk to my sign guy.
Talk to your sign guy? We already got
Keep busy, all right?
We'll talk to your sign guy. I don't know, we're too busy to get our signs up on the wall change, but.
I've got one.
That's
not me.
Oh, okay.
We had some proofing.
Darryl, thank you for bringing that up, and you're right, it is narrow. I have maybe pedaled the bike across that very, very early in the morning when nobody else is on it, because I always look to see if there are people on it. If they are, I don't go.
Well, I was
Because it is
guilty
too
also,
narrow.
but I can also say I got a ticket when I first got
I
here.
didn't get a ticket, and I don't remember seeing a sign, and I enter from Butler's End,
You
and
know where
there
there's
isn't a sign. at
the
Butler's.
landing sign, the blue landing
Yeah.
sign is? There used to be another sign, a marquee sign there.
I never entered from that end, I always entered from, I always entered
When I
from
went
the
up there,
Butler.
I saw the Port Royal police sitting there, and I mean, I rode my bike and waved at him, and he waited for me to come back. He waited for me to come back, and comes out, "Can I see your identification?" But thank God for for Roger Carr. And Judge
Very good.
Ripley.
And I think it's important we remember as we get further through the port development, and the Spanish Moss Trail is going to go all the way there, we probably need to clearly identify a cycling exit point and a clear bike lane down Sands Beach Road. There is kind of one there that needs to be clean to remind people at that point that this needs, if you want to ride your bike, here's your route all the way down to the Sands Beach. And we'll have to remember that as we move forward.
There is one question, there's someone on Facebook, what about 4th of July?
There will be.
Have we officially?
Yeah.
Okay, officially, we have canceled 4th of July, that would have probably, we'll probably do.
So we're not canceling the day.
We're not canceling the day, we're canceling the fireworks. Thank you for the way I said that, you're right. We have canceled the fireworks for 4th of July at this point in time, and we'll address that more next week at the council meeting.
And one more came through, when is the dry stack going to be beautified on the London Avenue side?
Mary Beth.
There's basically, what?
You're not here for me
2
to
years? I mean, it has to be done during the term of the development agreement, so it's a finite period of time.
They're 2 years into the development agreement, it has to be done by the end. Van will ask the, Gray Ghost about that again.
I've got one comment for you, Buzz.
You have one comment?
I do.
Go.
Just to make, any other things? Brooke, did you got coming?
No, comment period closed.
I wanted to make everyone aware, and I think it's a good thing, you've probably gone by the old Piggly Wiggly on Boundary Street, the corner of Rebo and Boundary Street, and there's a peaceful protest going on. I'm not sure if you know this, but Tim Garvin, who's a Port Royal resident, has been up there, and he's been a very active participant, and he has kept things together in a positive manner. So if you have an opportunity to go by there and see him and speak to him, I think it'd be good to go by and thank him for what he's doing and keeping things moving forward in a positive manner. a peaceful protest going on there at the old Piggly Wiggly.
Thank you for reminding everybody of that.
That's all I have.
Congratulations to all high school graduates.
Yeah.
Congratulations. All right, thank you, everybody. Good night.